How's it going, everybody? I feel like I'm still recovering from Summit. Like, I've been sleeping so much. It's craziness. But I wanted to just talk about Summit for the team call tonight and just kind of have it be like an open time to chat and like share with you guys, and maybe have the girls that went talk about their experience with it. I know for me, like, this was my third year going, and it's just insane because every year I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get any nuggets out of it this time. Like, I already know too much. And then I go and somebody blows my mind. Something is like just crazy. Like hearing from Rachel Hollis first of all, like that was probably the best part. So I wanted to just kind of share some of my highlights from my notes first. And then if you guys want to chime in, or anybody who went can chat, whatever. But I think like really the thing, like I posted about this today, the thing that kept at least like plucking my heartstrings and that I kept hearing from every single person speaking, even like Rachel Hollis, people who were coaches, people who weren't coaches, was to take action and like stop with the analysis paralysis thing. And I know for me, like even as a coach 2.5 years into the business, you'd think like that's something you'll just get over, but it's something like your health journey where you have to like take action every day and be super intentional to not like sit in that space of analysis paralysis. And like, especially with launches, we're launching this new program MM100 right now. And so I think it's so easy to be like, well, there's just like so much information that I'm just not going to do anything with it at all. Like, I'm not even going to, share about it or talk about it with people or get excited or do the research because I'm just overwhelmed. So the best thing I can tell you guys first and foremost is to literally just like start taking action in any way. There was a team call I did on this a few weeks ago, so you can look at our team page and find that post because I reposted the recording from YouTube. But yeah, like you're not going to go anywhere if you're not taking a step, whether it's a step that leads you to failure or success. Like it's still a step. So you've got to just do the thing. So first thing, I'm going to just talk about Melanie Mitro talked. If you don't know who she is, she was the #1 coach in the network, I think, for the past like 3 or 4 years in a row. She didn't win like top coach this year, but still she was like #2. She's ridiculous. And she talked about this a lot. She said, like, don't be so focused on your income that you lose focus on your impact. And her whole spiel was kind of on that topic of just like, we set these goals for ourselves. And I was even telling some coaches today in one of our Success Club, like push pods, if we keep saying, I want to get 3 people signed up or 5 people signed up or 10 people signed up, like it's good to have those goals. But even in your conversations or even when you're talking to people, I feel like we need to come back to remembering that it's not about the numbers and it's about like the quality of the relationship that you're having with that person. And when you're focused on that stuff, like when you're focused on the impact as opposed to just like all the numbers and the people that you're talking to, you're like actually deepening the relationship. That's when it's going to be successful, right? Like that's when you start to make friends through Beachbody and through coaching, and your clients become your friends and then they become your coaches. So I loved like that. That was my first point. Another few things she said was ask yourself every day, how did I serve today? And how did I serve every day? Or how do I serve every day? Because when I show up with that mindset and that focus of like connecting to people and serving people, then you're really going to like show up and do your best. And like, who knows, you might hit Success Club, 30 on the time that you're actually focusing towards service and serving people, as opposed to focusing on just like, I got to get my Success Club goal. I've got to get the numbers. So I really loved that, just like coming from her, because she's somebody who's so successful in the network. And I think it can be easy for us to be like, well, yeah, she has it easy, but like, no, she's just been focused on service and like truly caring for people. And Carly talks about that a lot, like listening to somebody's problem as opposed to just like inviting them and giving them the solution and like shoving it in their face. It's like, wait, they might not need that. They might not even like, that might not even be their problem. So yeah, she said, I earn an incredible or the best income when I'm focusing on my impact score. And so something she did every day, which is something you guys can start implementing even like tonight or today, is every night she said she goes to bed and she asks herself, what was my impact score for today? Like if I had to rate myself, you know, on 1 to 10, or you can make it bigger. But I think that's such a good way to look at like just your business and coaching, because I know I'm really hard on myself, and there will be nights I'm just like talking in bed about coaching to Chad, and I had this one little, you know, failure or one coach cancellation that really hurt me, or just one little thing, and it's like one bad apple can totally ruin the bunch. But that's a mindset choice. And so if you focus on like, how did I make an impact today, then you're actually gonna like go to bed happy and fulfilled and realizing like, oh my gosh, I had, you know, 4 messages from my clients telling me that I've helped them, or, you know, I got a transformation picture from one of my clients, or one of my coaches said that she got to pay for her gas bill today. Like there's just so many wins. So I think we really need to make sure we're focusing on that. Lola is just over here looking at me with the biggest puppy dog eyes in the world. Oh, okay. So something else, Carl Deichler spoke a lot. I love him. Like I'm literally obsessed with him, because he just stays in phase 1. And I think that is another like huge point I wanted to share with you guys. It's like a huge testament to what we do as a company and like as a family of coaches. The reason we are so successful as a company, like if you don't know, Beachbody is like this $1 billion company right now, which is craziness. And like, I wouldn't really care about that. But the reason I really do care about it and like want to share that with you guys is because it's a reflection of Carl Deichler, who's our CEO. And he like has this passion and this fire. And every time he got on stage and talked, it was just literally like mind-blowing. You just wanted to be up on stage with him, and he was, you know, challenging us to go and sign people up right now. You know, why haven't you asked this person? Why haven't you asked that person? So one thing he said that was really, really good is there's no such thing as passive income. He said hard work brings financial gain and freedom, not no work. And so I think that's another thing we have to remember is like, what are we working for? Are we working to make it so that we don't have to work? Or are we working for a life where we love the job we live, or we are working every single day and we love the life we're living every single day? So really encouraging like you guys as well to like stay in phase 1 with your business, stay in phase 1 in your challenge, stay in phase 1. And by phase 1, I mean like, you know, when was the first time you did your program? What was it like? What did you feel? How did you get these, you know, like what were your results? For me, my first program, I was fired up. Like I could not stop talking about this stuff. And so when I say phase 1, like that's what I mean. You go back to you being a beginner and having this beginner's mindset. Like I don't know it all. And that's another thing too, even to like take away bringing to next year's summit, if you're going to be there, which I hope all of you guys will. But it's like bringing this beginner's mindset, because then I think you're way more open to learning and whatever the speakers have to bring to you, whatever you're going to gain from it. Like you just have this heart of openness and being a beginner, and that you haven't done it all or gotten there yet, or you haven't arrived. So there's like so much I could talk about with you guys. But I'm going to take a break. And if anybody else wants to chime in, like talking about their experience. Otherwise, I also want to just chat about like our schedule for the whole time and tell you guys what it's like for those of you who didn't go. I'm going to look at our little chat box. Yeah, the exhaustion is real.
So if I could share 2 really big things that I learned, Rachel Hollis was absolutely amazing. I took so many notes from her. But my 2 biggest takeaways from Rachel Hollis is, first, applied knowledge is power. So the quote that you always hear is knowledge is power, but it's actually applied knowledge is power. You can know it all, but unless you actually implement it and do it, then that's where that is power. So I think that's really big as being a fairly new coach and thinking like, I don't have enough, I don't have all the information, I need to do more trainings, learn more. Like I'm not as knowledgeable as Leanna, but kind of that under that idea, it's immediate action that you need to just do it. Like, you do have knowledge. That, and the other biggest thing from Rachel Hollis that I underlined many times is what she does has no effect on you. So we always compare ourselves to others with areas that we are insecure. We never compare ourselves to people or things that we are insecure about. So we obsess over areas that we're insecure, and we don't look at others to see if you are doing it right. And another good thing is comparison is the death of momentum. So that is, I just absolutely loved those couple things. So especially being new, and if you guys are new too, just know that you do have the knowledge and you just got to do it.
So freaking good. Rachel Hollis like threw the house down. She called all of us out on our bullcrap. Like, she came up on stage, she was dancing, and she's like, "What is this?" She's like, "I thought this was a Beachbody convention. Aren't you guys supposed to be into fitness and health?" She starts like dancing. She's like, "Everybody get up out of their seat." She like forced us to dance, but it was so fun. One thing I wanted to just add on that. So she was talking about comparison for like ever, and it was so needed because like that's our biggest struggle when we're working on social media all the time. It's so easy. Like, it just happened to me the other day. Like, there are coaches on our team that are incredible and I look up to them so much, but sometimes, you know, I will go to their page and it's not that I'm looking for inspiration. It's like an autopilot thing, and I open their page and suddenly I'm in this just like hole and downward spiral of like, oh my gosh, her abs are so much better than mine, or like, she's got such a better body, her genetics are better, blah blah blah. And then it's just down deep and deep, and it's like that just wastes so much time and so much energy. And what she said is, whatever you can do, don't dull your shine, give yourself some freaking credit. So she was saying, like, when we compare ourselves, not only are we like wasting time and stopping the momentum, like Brianne said, but we're also like taking away from ourselves, like who we are and our own shine, and who we are, what we share from that is literally going to attract your perfect person and your perfect tribe. So there's nothing wrong with those girls out there or those other coaches that you're comparing yourself to, but like, there's no reason, because you're not meant to be like that person. Like, you're meant to be like you. And it's just so hard for us to like wrap our brains around that. But I think that's why she nailed it so hard into us, was because it's so important. Another thing she said was, those who judge are in prison. So the most incredible gift we have is to not care what other people think or do, because then it's like we are just like separating ourselves from the situation completely. Like, if you think about it, if we're judging somebody, we are being wrapped up in this like comparison game. And when you step away from that, you're like free, not only to be you, but to let them be them, like themselves. So good. So she said, give others the gift we give to ourselves, to not judge and to just be free, like separate yourself from that. And then, yeah, you can be who you are. I have so many other things from her, but Kelsey, do you want to share?
I do. Okay, so kind of on the comparison train, it's so easy when you're at Summit. You see all these big coaches walk across the stage and you're just like, oh my God, like that will never be me. Like, I want to be there, but that's never going to happen. Like, it's easy to start comparing yourself. And then when you see these coaches who've only been coaching for like a year and a half, and yet they're on the floor and they're an elite coach, and you're like, they haven't even been doing this that long. Like, it doesn't even compare to the people who've been doing this 8 years. They've been doing it a year and a half. And I've been a coach for a year. Like, I'm not even halfway to where she's at. And it's really easy to compare yourself. But something Rachel Hollis said, like, really struck a chord in me. She said, if you can't handle the stress now, then you can't handle the success of where you want to go. So it's like, if you're already stressing out in your challenge groups now, you can't handle their level of success. Like, if you had what these coaches have right now, you wouldn't be able to handle it. And I have to keep going back to that. And I'm like, okay, these girls are bringing on, like, they said some of the Success Club numbers of some of these girls every month, and it was like 130. And I'm like, dude, I can barely handle like 5 girls. Like I can barely handle Success Club 10 and keeping track of 5 girls some months. And so it's like just trying to keep 5 girls on board and trying to get them to go forward the next month is hard enough. And it's like, why do we think that, or why are we like comparing ourselves to these big coaches and we think that, oh, well, I want to be in their shoes. No, you don't. You can't handle it. Like that is why we start small. And that's why it takes time to build, because if Carl Deichler just handed us all the success that these top coaches have, he knew that we could not handle it. And that's why the business is set up the way it's set up. And that's why like our compensation plan is set up the way it's set up. I know it's easy to start out at coaching and it's like, oh, we barely make anything when we start out. It's like, yeah, but you're going to gain so much through this process and you're going to learn so much on how to manage finances and how to actually grow a team, that if Carl made the compensation plan to where it was just like easy and we're just getting money thrown at us, so many of us would never, I don't feel like any of us would level up, because we'd be like, oh, I'm fine where I'm at, and no one would want to push to get further. So seeing these top coaches, I'm like in my head telling myself, oh, I want to be where they're at. Like I want to be that. I wish I was hitting Success Club 100 every month. And I think I'm like, no, I don't. Like hitting Success Club 10, it's hard to get my 5 girls to stay engaged. Like how can I handle 50 girls staying engaged? There's no way. And so it's just learning that if you can't handle the stress of where you're at now, you can't handle the success of where they are at. So it's like, I don't know. Basically, I'm just talking, but yeah, just realizing that it's like, it's so easy to compare to all these big coaches or these people who've been doing it for 8 years and think that you want to be in their shoes, and realize that, hey, if you were in their shoes now, you wouldn't be able to handle even slightly the stress that's on them. And we think, oh, they have it easy. They have it easy. Look how many people they get on a month. It's like, yeah, but think of getting that many people on a month and how much harder, how much more time you have to put into your business. We're so lucky now that it's like, oh, you don't even have to put in an hour a day to get, to hit Success Club. Think of these ladies who are hitting these high numbers. Like they literally are working all day long. So it's like, we have to think about, hey, we are blessed in where we're at in our business right now. And it should push us, it should push us to grow, seeing like all these top coaches, but it should also give us this peace of mind that like, we have it easy now. I know it's so hard to think that we have it easy as coaches. It's like, no, I can't even get 3 girls. I'm pushing so hard. And it's like, but imagine trying to manage 100 people. That is insane. I can't even imagine the amount of time a day if you have to put in to keep up with these people. I feel like I'd be working 24/7, and that's the beauty, is I don't have to do that right now. So thank God. But yeah, just use your experience at Summit next year, and like when you see all these top coaches, use it as like a trigger to like push you forward, but don't let it make you compare yourself and feel bad about yourself and where you're at now, because just realize how much work it actually takes to be where they're at and keep up where they're at. So yeah, just don't compare.
It's so good and so true. I like felt the same way. After a while, I was hearing these numbers and I told Chad, like, if I hit Success Club 100, that's 50 people I have to like email back and forth. And every time I sign a girl up, I like give them my number. I'm like, we're homies now. Like, we're friends. You can call me anytime you need me. If I had to do that with 50 people, like I would poop my pants. It would be so bad. But going off of another thing Rachel Hollis said, because she's just the best. I still haven't read her new book, so I'm probably going to like just learn a lot more about all this stuff she mentioned. But with action, she was talking a lot about her story and her journey with the success she's gained in her business and her relationship and her marriage. And she kept emphasizing how much hard work it does take. Just like Kelsey was saying, she said, like, you can't be comparing yourself to someone else who's been doing what you're striving for 10 years. If like you've only been doing it for 1 year and their marriage is perfect and yours feels like it's falling apart, it's like, that's a totally different path. That's a totally different story. And she said, if you're willing to work at something, like you can literally go and do whatever you want to do. And the beauty of it, like Kelsey was saying, is you become the best version of yourself, like on that journey and in that process. And so then you never really have to feel like you're comparing to someone else. You never have to be upset about where you're at. You can be like completely satisfied with this stage of life or the season of life or of your business and where you're at. That's not to say to like settle, but to just be like, oh my gosh, like I'm so grateful for how far I've come, but I'm also, you know, excited for the next thing and pushing for the next thing. So she talked a lot about how like talent is different than success. That was one thing I gained from her, because for me, you know, I, before coaching, was pursuing music and it was all about my talent. And I was always frustrated because I never saw success with music. But guess what? I wasn't working at it. I was literally just sitting around like waiting for somebody random in the music industry to like walk in where I worked and just be like, hey, you would be good for this, you know, like TV show or this song or this album, and just like pitch me and like put everything together for me. But that's not even something you want to earn. That's not something you want to maintain. And that's why so many, like, if we look at the music industry, if we look like young stars or kids who've gotten so much success just because of their talent, they literally like fall off the face of the earth for like 5 years, and they start doing drugs and like getting into bad shit, and we're like, where'd they go? And it's because they're like, they could not handle the success that they had because they didn't work for it, because the work grooms us for the success that we face in the future. So she said a challenge kind of that I took on from just her story and everything is, when you see other people out there working really hard at goals and, you know, big coaches, whoever you look up to in your life, like whether it's for your business or life, she said, basically like challenge yourself to say, I can outwork them. I know when Carly signed up as a coach, she would always tell me, I saw Jamie's life and I loved her life. I love that, you know, she had a house and a family and she could support her family freely with coaching. And she said, but guess what? I think I can do what she does better. And so I challenge you guys, not in a like mean way, but like, look at me, look at someone else, look at whoever is like your leader or your mentor in this business and be like, can I like outwork her? Can I outdo her? And just see like what's possible for yourself if you did. Like, I think it would be so amazing to see like coaches go way far above and beyond me. Like, that's like my biggest dream, because then we're like working alongside each other really, and we're just like challenging each other constantly, like to level up. And that's what I've tried to do with Carly. She's like relentless, and it's so hard to keep up with her Success Club numbers, and I don't think I want to. But again, like I'm constantly like in this mindset of like, how can I level up my business and myself, because I want to like outwork her and see if we can like keep that competition going. It's like a healthy thing. So another thing she said about work is just, what is it going to take to get there? So if you like lay out your dream life for yourself and your dream job or whatever your dream is with coaching, like for me, originally it was, I want to be able to work full-time as a coach. I don't want to have to be a server or a barista or anything like that. And so she said, really do like the reverse engineering, look at that life and look at that dream and say, what is like the work that it's going to take for me to get to, you know, whatever the goal is, the rank is, the income. And then she said, ask yourself, are you willing to do that work? Are you willing to put in whatever that work looks like to get there? And I think if, you know, there's a light bulb moment that goes off and you're like, oh crap, like, I don't know if I'm willing, then you got to do some big digging, like deep down, and figure out like, well, what is the dream that you're willing to work for? What is the big goal that you're willing to work for? Because when I was working to quit my job, I was like, I will do anything to have a free schedule. You know, like I would mop the floors all day long, even though that's the worst thing I had to do at my job at the time. So really like challenge yourself and say like, what is it? And like, where in my business or in my life can I be leveling up? Like for me, when I was working as a barista, I had to be at the coffee shop at 6:30 a.m. to open it up. And so I had to start challenging myself, you know, well, in order to get to the coach that I want to be and the life and the business that I want to have, I think I need to start waking up at like 5 a.m. or 4:45 to get my workout in and get a little bit of work in, because when I come home to my husband, he's going to be like, oh, I want time with you. And then I'm not going to want to give him time. I'm going to want to work on my business. So you really have to dig down like super deep and get real with yourself and real about your why. And if you're not willing, you know, to do whatever it takes to get to that goal, you either need to change your why or you need to change the goal to being something different. But I encourage you to start with the goal or your why, because I think sometimes we play it small and we don't dream big enough. And that's the reason we're not willing to do the work it takes to get to some level or some success or some goal or dream of ours, because we're like downplaying this dream. It's like this tiny little thing. It's like, oh, I want to be able to pay for my new shoes. It's like, cool. But like, what are your shoes going to get you in life? Not a lot. Like, you can walk around in them for a year, but what would like being able to pay for your children's college fund someday do? Like, that would create a legacy. Like, I would be willing to do so much for that, right? I'm getting really hot. Kelsey, you said you wanted to piggyback off.
Yeah, so I was listening to the Rise Together podcast. Did you just listen to that or something? Because this is literally like the exact quotes that Rachel Hollis said in the podcast. She said, if we say we want a certain life, what will it take to actually achieve the things that we want? And she said, you know, a lot of us have these big dreams and stuff, but it's not trying to figure out what do we actually want to achieve. It's literally writing down, what am I willing to give up? Like, what am I willing to do to achieve these things? Knowing what you want to achieve is one thing, but actually laying it down and realizing what you have to give up and the things you're going to have to sacrifice to get there is the only way you're going to get what you actually want. And then she said, do you really want it? Or are you just saying that you want it? You have to be willing. You have to be willing to live your life in a way that most people won't, so you can eventually live a life that most people can't. I want to say it again because I had to listen to it. I kept rewinding it because I was like, wait, what? Like, there's just so many words. So she said, you have to be willing to live your life in a way that most people won't, so you can eventually live a life that most people can't. And that was just like, bam, powerful, because it's like, you're always going to get judged. I know I've been judged since day one, since I became a coach. And for me, it was really, really hard to put the judgment aside. And still some days it really is hard to put the judgment aside, because there's going to be people that don't like what I do. People aren't going to support me. And I'm really realizing that I have to live my life in a way that someone else won't, so that way I can live a future that none of these people can, because they're not willing to do what I'm doing. And I just want that to be encouragement for you guys, that it is going to take sacrificing stuff to get to where you want and to achieve the level of success that you want. But knowing that because you're willing to do that, you're willing to sacrifice things that other people don't want to, and willing to take, you know, leaps, even if you're scared, even if you have a lot of fear, even if you're kind of ashamed of what you do because you're getting shamed by so many people, realizing that you're going to end up living a life that no one else can, because you were willing to step out in faith and do something that no one else wanted to do. And I just hope that that's encouragement for you guys down the road to realize where you can be versus where you are now. I know it's like, well, it kind of sucks. Like, I'm barely getting by with what I'm making with a coach salary, but knowing that that's all going to have like this domino effect, and you're just stacking the dominoes right now. And all of a sudden one day you're just going to like get to the end and be like, oh my God, there's a million dominoes stacked up. Like, how did I get here? And it was just because you just little by little just kept going and kept making sacrifices along the way, and you didn't let the fear or what other people think, or just the big feat of coaching. I mean, it's scary, but you didn't let that stand in your way, and you continue to push forward, and that's what's going to get you the success that you want. That's what's going to give you the life that no one else can live. While everyone else is working a 9 to 5, you're going to be doing whatever the heck you want with your life, because you were willing to do the things that no one else was willing to do. So that's it.
So good. Yeah, that's exactly like what my brain was thinking when she was speaking to us about like taking action. And that's like what I thought a lot about in the very beginning stages of my coaching career. Like the only reason I didn't quit, like there were probably like 4 different times I almost quit. And the only reason I didn't was because my why was so big. And I was like, if I'm not willing to like work through this struggle right now, then like, you know, I'm not going to be willing to do it in the future. And then I'm never going to have that dream life of mine. And I'm never going to have the life where I can, you know, give my kids the option to go to school and just pay for it. And so, yeah, I think like it just takes getting real with yourself, sitting down and being like, what is my big vision? Like, what is my big dream? Like when you look at those coaches out there who are, it's so funny at the end, like the closing ceremony, they recognize people who are in the Millionaires Club. And there's a lot of people in that club. Like it is crazy. And basically they mean, it's not that you're currently earning $1 million a year, but you've like totaled out all of your income from coaching total has hit either $1 million or above. So it's ridiculous, but they're like coaches that we know close in our downline or in like our network, like Jamie and Chelsea, both walked across stage. And I was just like, oh my freaking gosh, it's crazy. It wasn't called Premiere. It was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like, they just changed the name, like Legendary something, I don't know, but it was madness. So another takeaway I just wanted to talk about from my leadership track, what's really cool, they just started doing it this year in Summit. Normally they have the general opening session and it's in like the stadium. So whatever city you go to, we were in the Lucas Oil Stadium. Next year's in New Orleans, so it'll be the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I believe. So you have like these big speaking times with like, you know, people like Rachel Hollis or like Brendan Burchard has been there before. And then during the afternoons, you like kind of split off and go into these little training sessions, and they used to be all together, but this year they broke them up. So there was a leadership track, I think a new coach track, like a business starter track. They had all different names, but it depends on which like rank you are, which is super helpful because when you're at a certain rank, like we were talking about earlier, it's probably because you're still working at a certain thing with your business. Like if you're a new coach, you're probably trying to figure out how to hit Success Club and hit it consistently. If you're like a leader of a big organization, you're probably working more on like how to manage that organization and how to build leaders in your own organization. So I heard from Lindsay Matway, and I was like such a little, fangirl, because I hit diamond because of this coach. Like I watched her YouTube videos on how to hit diamond, and I like totally did what she said, and that's what helped me hit diamond. So she spoke on vision, and I kind of want to do this exercise with you guys if you're willing, if you're down. But she said, where do I see myself going in my life, you know, right now, here, moving forward with coaching as a part of my life? And she said, before you know where you're going, where you want to go in your life, you must first know what you value most. And so she said to us to take like a few minutes to write down what you want to be in your life. Like not only like what's your why, what's your vision for your life, but like when you look off and see that girl or that woman you want to be 10 years from now, like name the characteristics that she has. Like, is she kind-hearted? Is she loving? Is she service-oriented? Is she really, really giving? Is she a leader? Like, is she like a badass, you know? Like come up with whatever you want to come up with, who you want to be. And like get really detailed if you can, because you could do like, I want to be, you could even do like a mother or a dog mom, but I would encourage you guys, like get as detailed as you possibly can, because then there's like a second part to this question after you guys write that stuff down. Okay, so now I think it would be fun to like throw all those things in the chat and just be vulnerable with each other. I'm gonna throw some of mine in there too. And then like I think it's just so fun to see like how different we all are, but like also how similar and like how our paths cross and everything. So go ahead and share like a few things that you wrote down. I love these. They're so good. It makes me like get goosebumps. I just like love talking about this stuff. So the second thing I want you guys to do or think about, and you might not be able to answer this question yet, but think about somebody in your life, or you might not even know them, like maybe you only know them through social media, but somebody who embodies all of these things. And then I want you to like make that your person. Like that is who, not that you compare yourself to, but that is who you look up to as a mentor, as somebody, you know, like when you want to figure out how to do something in your business or how to do something in your life, or maybe you have like a question, like go to that person. I usually look up to, I would say like a few people, but definitely Jamie. She's like my grandma coach in the network. But recently Chelsea Pearson, I like just love everything about her. And it's just like how she carries herself in a room, how she like leads her team, the way that she like brings on new coaches, the way that she coaches them, like everything about her. And so I'm like, man, like I love their life. I think so, like, yeah, when you find those things that you want to embody, then pair it with a person or a few people. It could even be like your mom, you know, like if your mom is so cool and like super legit, then yeah, just like choose that person. And I would encourage you, I say this a lot, but like unfollow everybody else, like in your feed who's a coach, you know, or somebody that maybe is somebody you look up to, like unfollow them because they're probably just wasting your time and you're going into the comparison game. I love my coaches to death, and I love my upline coach, and I love, you know, so many coaches on our team, but I unfollow them a lot because I find myself falling into comparison game, and it can be so unhealthy. And I want to compare myself to my future self, right? Like I don't want to compare myself to all those other people that aren't me. So the next thing I want to talk about just with vision, she gave us this awesome success cycle, and I'm going to try to explain it and see if you guys can write it down. Oh yes, Amy Rada, happy, healthy, humble. She's so good too. I love her. Okay, but she said, let's take ownership of the vision. So the way that we have to obviously make our visions and our dreams come true is taking action, as we've already talked about from like Rachel Hollis. But she gave us this success cycle. And so she said, she gave it to us to give to our new coaches. So I'm giving it to you guys, like whether you're going to take it and utilize it for yourself or to give it to your own new coaches. But basically write a circle with, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 bubbles. So there will be like one on the left, one on the right, one on the bottom left, bottom right, and then in the middle you can write success cycle. So the first bubble on the upper left-hand corner is identity or potential. And then you can like write an arrow to the next bubble, which is going right, action. And then you can write another arrow going kind of down to the next bubble, which is results. So it's going clockwise. I should have said that at the beginning. And then the fourth one is belief, and then vision. So what she explained to us is basically either as new coaches or when we bring new coaches on, this is the success cycle. But what happens is a lot of times as new coaches, and Brienne, you were just talking about this kind of, when you start, you first start with your identity and your potential. And so you get frustrated because right now as a new coach, your identity is new coach, not knowing a lot, not being super well versed in all the different Beachbody products, or maybe not really knowing how to talk to people. And so you get really frustrated and you fall into like the comparison game. And so instead of going to the next bubble and taking action, you just like say, I don't have any potential. I'm just going to give up. I didn't get someone signed up, and you just like fall deep down into this negative hole. And so what she said is we need to start one step back further. We need to start with belief and vision, which is what we just went over and what we talked about. Belief in, you know, this person that you want to become someday, and having a vision for the life you want to live someday and what that all looks like, because it'll require you to be somebody different than you are today, because your life doesn't look like that now. So she said, whether you're a new coach, you know, or whether you're telling this to your new coaches, what we always want to start with is belief and vision, because then you have the motivation to see your potential, realize like, oh, I have this, you know, possible life and possible outcome. And then it motivates you to take action, which is the next bubble. And then you see results, and it's just like this endless cycle and this endless circle. So anytime you're in like a crunch, or anytime you're really frustrated, or you're struggling, or things are going poorly, like I said in my story, the only thing that kept me going was my why. So even if you're just starting out as a new coach, like, you've got to go back to that belief and that vision and that why, because it will get you motivated. You know, like I always remember this story from a team call I heard. This guy was one of the founding coaches of Beachbody, and he was in line buying diapers for his kid. He had like a new baby with his wife, and I think he had like just lost his job, and he was buying diapers, and like his card didn't go through or something. And he also had food stamps. And so he like gave the cashier his food stamps, and he was just like so humbled. And he said he started crying because he's like, my card's not going through. Like the only thing I have is like these food stamps to help pay for this. And he said the cashier like just gave him the diapers and let him go. And that was totally against policy, but he like, I think is now a millionaire, like in the Millionaires Club or whatever. And he's super successful, has built an incredible organization. But it's just like, if he at that moment didn't believe in like this life he could live and have this vision for himself, he probably would have been like, well, I'm a terrible father. I couldn't, you know, hold a job down. I don't believe in myself right now. I don't have any potential. And so he would have never done anything. He wouldn't have taken action. And so really like go to those things, like go to that why, that thing deep down in your soul where it's like, I will literally do anything for this. Like maybe it's your kid, maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your family, your future family. It just gives me goosebumps talking about it. I love it. But yeah, so just ask yourself, what would be possible? What would you want if time and money weren't a thing? And that's kind of, I think, your vision. Like that's how you figure out what your vision is for your life. Because like I said before, we limit ourselves a lot. And we already did that with your kind of like personality or like the person you want to become. But later on, not right now, but I encourage you to like go take some time later and ask yourself, like, what is the actual vision for my life? Like, what would I want if time and money weren't a thing? What kind of life would I live? What would it look like? And that is how you take ownership of your vision. But she kept going. Like, there's so many more things I could share, but I'm going to stop because it's so much. I hope that the success cycle makes sense to you guys, because I know for me, like I've had a lot of coaches sign up and start working their business, and they see their potential, and then they sign someone up, and then the person cancels, and then they quit. And I'm like, why did you quit? Was your vision wrapped up in this person who canceled, or was your vision rooted deep in this whole, you know, vision for your life? Because if it was, then you wouldn't have canceled, or you wouldn't have quit on yourself. So I hope that helps you guys. Usually I try to keep these calls like 45 minutes. So yeah, all in all, Summit is literally incredible. Tickets right now are $150 and they were $125, I think, up until Monday night. I got Chad and I's tickets, so we got them bought, but I think they go up like throughout the year. It's not to say they won't have like a random sale, but I would encourage you guys, like, get your tickets as soon as you possibly can, because it will go up like all throughout the year. And the 150 price is until July 28th, I believe. And New Orleans is a really like compact city, so it's going to be a lot harder to Uber. It's like, when I went, at least, traffic was terrible, and so we mostly walked everywhere, but we stayed in a hotel that was super far away from everything. So whether you're looking for like an Airbnb or a hotel, I would also encourage you find something that's really close to the convention center, so you don't have to like take years to walk there. And it's really hot, but it'll be fun. I'm like so stoked. Yeah. And what's really fun is you can find really good prices if you go in on an Airbnb or even a hotel room with a bunch of other girls from the team. Like, my first coach summit was in New Orleans, and I stayed in a room with Noelle, and we just like split the cost the whole time. We had one bed, we just shared it. It was great. Oh yeah, I think it actually got hit with a hurricane before we came there, when I was there like 2 years ago, or is it 3 years ago? I don't even know. But it was like pretty devastated. Like, it was a sad thing to like come into the city. We're all celebrating, and like so much just destruction and like the buildings collapsing. But yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to keep our ears open, like hoping that it doesn't change, but it might. Does anyone else have any questions about Summit? Another thing my coach always told me when I was first like trying to decide if I wanted to commit and go to Summit, because it took me like a few months to really like decide and commit and buy those tickets. It was like 3/4 through the year. So I got them at the like 180 price, which wasn't bad, but still, like, when you're a college student or like who just got out of college, you're living alone in an apartment, it was not a good price for me. But what she said to me was, you have to, you know, say or ask yourself, is this worth it? Like, imagine that dream life, imagine that vision, imagine who you're going to become one day, and say, in the grand scheme of things, is this ticket price really going to matter? Is the price of my hotel really going to matter? Or is this experience going to be an investment, and is it going to be worth it and like help propel me to next level me, right? Yay. Okay, I'm going to take a little picture of us if I can. I want to do a boomerang. Can we all like move our heads? Bobbleheads. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yay! It's so cute. Okay, I will tag you guys all. Have a good rest of the night. Bye, everybody. Love you guys.